You guys ever shoot podcasts and not post them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sore subject. But yeah, there was one. Well, I think like Schulz was kind of like, went after Steiny.
Nelk, release the pod. Release the pod, Nelk!
We are releasing the most anticipated episode, maybe ever, of the Full Send podcast, the long lost episode with Schulz.
It's time for war, Nelk! Let's go, okay?
All right, guys, next one, we're going to be talking about Andrew Schulz and the Nelk Boys thing. So apparently the manager of the Nelk Boys talked about an episode that was unreleased by them. The people that were on the show wondered, what was it? What was the episode, or what was it about? They said, oh, it involved Andrew Schulz and Steiny, and it seems like Steiny or somebody in their team did not like how the conversation went or the podcast went, and so they decided to not release it because it made either Steiny look bad or Andrew Schulz look bad. From that clip that the manager came out in, or the podcast he came out and talked about it, it became a much bigger issue. And people were saying, well, now that you talked about it, release it. But the thing is that I think they had Steve in there. Steve will do it. And Steve is banned from YouTube. So, you know, they were kind of like treading the waters or whatever it's called, like trying to not release it because they don't want to be punished by YouTube for having somebody that has been banned from the platform. So I think they just like blurred out his face to try to get away with that.
We're here on Twitter because Steve's actually in this episode as well, and he cannot be on YouTube even if we blur his face.
So let's get to that part where the manager talks about that podcast that got blocked.
This video went viral of the manager of Nelk, John Shahidi, brilliant guy, and he also manages a bunch of other podcasts. And he's involved with some businesses, like he's connected with Elon, and like just really interesting dude, and has been very good to us in terms of like giving advice and that kind of shit. And so he's on this podcast with, I believe, is Graham Steffen's The Iced Coffee Hour. Yeah. Right? Okay, so this goes viral.
You guys ever shoot podcasts and not post them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sore subject. But yeah, there was one. But there was an episode with Andrew Schulz. Schulz went after, like, you know, I think, you know, when like a stand-up comedian like looks in the crowd and decides like just go after somebody. Yeah. Well, I think like Schulz was kind of like went after Steiny, and he and it was pretty awkward.
Was it the whole episode, or was it like?
It was a bulk of it. It was like,
no, you couldn't cut around it, or
he would come back to it, and like he just wanted to go after Steiny. Yep. I almost felt bad for Steiny.
You guys ever shoot
Okay.
That's funny.
Okay, now.
Bully.
Listen,
why are you going around the pod?
I didn't even think it was that long on Steiny. Now, Nelk reacted to this video because a lot of people are giving them shit. They're like, release the fucking episode, you pussies, etc. And they basically were like, Schulz said he didn't want to put out the episode. Yeah. Which is true, because it sucked.
Now we've seen Schulz said in his video that he didn't want to put the episode out because he thought it was so bad. That's what he originally told me. I was kind of the one pushing to release it because I thought it was hilarious, and I think you guys will find it entertaining, regardless if it's bad or not. It's hilarious. It's a fucking podcast. Like, it's not that fucking serious to me. And then Steiny didn't want it out because Schulz went the flame on him.
Yeah.
It was like, I think I told you guys.
I vividly remember.
Yeah, it was just like one of the worst podcasts I've ever been on. And
yeah, I heard it. It was not that good. It was pretty dull. Steiny and Steiny was pretty much like sandbagging the whole podcast. I think it started when Steiny took out his phone and Andrew visibly got really annoyed by it and was like, hey, what are you doing, you know? And he was like, oh, I'm just looking for the questions to ask you. And he was like, are you really? Here's that clip of that.
What bothers you the most right now?
Nothing.
Nothing bothers you?
You looking at your phone while we're doing this interview, and everybody's seeming disinterested.
Were you looking at notes or texting girls?
Notes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Me taking time out of my day to do this and then feeling like I'm forcing you guys to do the podcast.
I've never been more excited to do a podcast.
Say again?
I've never been more excited. I'm sorry. I
don't apologize. You don't have
No.
to apologize. You asked me what annoyed me, and I gave you an honest answer.
Wait, are you being serious about that?
Yeah, that annoyed me.
Really?
Yes.
So if
Is
someone
that surprising to you?
well, if I'm looking at my notes, I have some things personally that I wrote that I wanted to ask you. Not on there.
Okay.
So I can't look at that and then ask you that.
I mean, you can, I guess.
What if someone in the audience is on their phone when you're doing that?
And they're gonna get the same treatment you got.
Would you call them out?
Yes.
Have you done that before?
Yes.
And how's that reaction?
You can say that Steiny maybe was like playing a character, like he was kept saying, like, I'm just playing a character, I'm playing a character. But it made Andrew visibly upset because he thought that they didn't know what kind of comedy he does. And if you know Andrew, he does like crowd work. That means he roasts the people in the audience and makes fun of them. So obviously he does do that. And when Andrew said, look, they didn't seem like they did any research on me and they didn't know nothing about me. Let's go back to Andrew's thoughts on that.
And basically, like, but Kyle and Steiny, I don't think they really knew who I was. So, like, I think they were aware of who I am or was at the time, but not really that aware of the content.
And not about you as a famous person or whatever, but your comedy, your style of comedy.
I think that maybe they watched the special, like, right before the pod or something like that. But I think it was more a situation where it was like, okay, this guy's got a big reach on YouTube. We have a big reach on YouTube. This can be a big episode type of thing. And Steve is the fan. Steve is the sweetest guy in the world. Like, if I called Steve right now probably and asked him to, like, help me move my apartment, he'd be like, I can be there tomorrow. Like, he's just the sweetest fucking guy.
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't drive the pod.
Yeah.
Kyle and Steiny drive the pod.
Right.
I'm sitting in this thing, and I thought that they all were, like, in the same fraternity or something. I wasn't as familiar with, like, Nelk, but Kyle's kind of, like, organized these, like, internet superstars, if you will. Like, you have Salim and, like, Bradley Martin, and, like, built, like, a team and a brand around it. But in my mind, they all went to college together. So when I'm there, and they're not really, like, talking, and I'm just like, what is going on right now?
They said that in the video. They were like, we were nervous because that was the first time we had ever all done a pod together.
This episode was filmed November 10th, 2022. So this was a fucking long ass time ago this episode was filmed, guys. But with this one, it was kind of, I think, our first time having a comedian on. We kind of wanted to treat it like our boys only episodes where it's our internals and we kind of just chill and fucking bro down and like talk about whatever's going on in the world. And we thought that would be a good way to do Schulz. We saw his video and I guess he felt like we were asking him generic questions or like we didn't know anything about him, which I understand his point of view.
So it was just this like kind of weird energy, and like I pretty early on realized that like Kyle and Steiny don't really know me that well, because the questions they're asking are like really basic questions.
Like, what's an example?
Has anybody ever like heckled you? And there's a moment in the pod, I don't know if they edited it, but where I'm like, what?
Would you call them out?
Yes.
Have you done that before?
Yes.
And they're like, have you ever like talked to someone in the crowd? And like, so I'm thinking two different things in this moment. I'm going, either they have no clue who I am, and that's weird that I would even be here.
Annoying, yeah.
Or they know and it's a troll. So I'm like,
I do feel a little bad for Steiny because I saw Schulz say that he thought Steiny was trying to troll him, and I don't think Steiny was trying to troll him at all. I actually think Steiny was trying his genuine best to like help keep the podcast going. He did get roasted pretty hard by Schulz, but I think he was trying his best, honestly.
do you know what I mean? Like, and in in that moment, Steiny got
you got clips.
Now he knows what you do to the crowd.
Knows what I do. Yeah. But I don't even think I was being funny. I think I was just, explaining to him who I think he is in a stern way.
So that part where he starts explaining to him, like, I think you're like fake, like that really hurt Steiny, like visibly hurt him. And he was like, we don't have to have microphones here to talk. Like, we could just put them away. And that's where like it starts to get like even more awkward, right? Like, let me take you to that part there.
Oh fuck! I don't ever want to do a podcast again. Straight up.
Even that doesn't sound real.
You might have just retired him.
No, straight
No,
up.
I
Why
think
the
you
fuck
should.
would I ever do this shit again?
I honestly can't tell if you're playing a character or not. And I think that that's a real problem. I think it's a real
How
like
do I know that you're not playing a
socializing problem.
character right now?
You don't. You just have to decide if you do. The fact that you're upset makes me feel like you don't think I am.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for hurting my self-esteem and probably keeping me inside tonight. Hope you have a great night.
Even that's not real.
Yeah,
So
like
real.
you're going out tonight.
You
for
act like
sure.
I'm not going
you're
out.
gonna
Yeah,
fucking-
you're gonna party. It's okay, man. You're new to this, right?
How long you been doing this?
Entertainment. A while. I think you're a smart dude.
don't get shows going, bro.
No, I want to get him going.
I do
You're gonna
think,
get- you're
I
gonna
do
get
think you're a
dusted.
smart guy.
Okay.
I do think you're a smart dude.
Sure.
I genuinely mean that.
Okay.
I think that you.
But what makes you
wanna-
think that I'm trying to do this for myself? Because I don't give a fuck.
I
We
mean,
can
we're,
take this
we're
out.
all doing this for some sort of self-benefit. That's why we're talking
Sure,
on a
but I do
microphone,
this 'cause I
recording
actually
it,
enjoy
and then
it.
putting it on YouTube.
I do this because I enjoy it, though.
I didn't say that you. Two things can be true, right?
Yeah.
You do this because you enjoy it. You also do this because you make money. You also do it because you get clout. You also do it because you get to express your opinions.
Sure.
Multiple things can be true,
Okay.
right? So one thing doesn't override the other.
Sure.
What I'm saying is that if you were being your truest, purest, most authentic self, I think you would have behaved differently in the podcast. You would have got a different behavior from me. I'm not out here to bully someone who feels like insecure. Like, I think that's the worst thing ever. I think that if somebody feels insecure and they're pretending to be something they're not, you know, that's what it is. But I think you need to find yourself a little, man.
I'm just trying to figure out where this took this turn.
We're still talking about you.
Where did this take this turn? We don't even have to have the mics on, bro.
Well, how about this? I mean, everyone's fucking screaming. We gotta go.
I think we
here,
got to
guys.
wrap
All right,
up. I
guys.
think we got to wrap
But
up.
why don't
I
we
mean,
continue the rehab session
listen,
on the
Steiny,
live?
there's nothing.
So like, yeah, Andrew calling Steiny fake really hurt his feelings, and Steiny was still trying to play that character that he's talking about, but it was just too much. It seemed like Andrew like really felt bad for Steiny. Like, you know, he said like, I kind of bullied you in a way or called you out on it, and now you're just shutting down, right? You're like saying now like, oh, now, you know, we don't have to have the mics on. Like, I do this for fun. I do this for entertaining. I do it because I like it, not for the money. Which is like, sure, brother. Sure, brother. Who's gonna pay you for just having a conversation not even recorded, right? Like, yeah.
But what makes you think that I'm trying to do this for myself? Because I don't give a fuck.
I
We
mean,
can take this
we're
out.
all doing this.
Stop the cap.
So Andrew, you know, thought that the whole vibe of the room felt more like marketing and a cash grab than just hanging out with somebody and getting to know them. And it felt more like for money. Like, this podcast is for money. That's where, you know, I think Andrew got annoyed by that. It just didn't felt genuine.
I think they even said in the clip it was like a weird moment. The energy was just kind of off, you know, and like we were just doing the interview and like randomly like producers would come in and like angle the Happy Dad cans like to the camera so the logo was facing the can, and I'd be like in the middle of like telling a story or explaining something.
It's like a check drop.
Let's go. What's good? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you
Been trying to do this
Check drop.
for a minute, eh?
Yeah.
Check drop. Check drop. Check drop.
No, right?
Yeah, and I'm like,
and
I'd be like,
you hate those.
Yeah, exactly.
but it was just one of those things where it's like, I'm in this moment where like, okay, I don't think these guys know who I am. There are moments where like none of us talked. Like, we just sit there like this, and I'd be like, what is fucking happening right now? So like, and then the logo thing, and I was just like, what is it? Like, the beautiful thing about a podcast is when you have like genuine interest in someone, you get to sit across from them and like ask all your questions and like, you know, get to the bottom of theories. Or if you hate someone,
Yeah.
you get to confront them about something. It's just like this beautiful thing. And in the moment where they're moving the logo, I'm like, am I doing a commercial for Happy Dad and not getting paid for it? Like, what is going on right now?
But with this one, it was kind of, I think, our first time having a comedian on. We kind of wanted to treat it like our boys only episodes where it's our internals and we kind of just chill and fucking bro down and like talk about whatever's going on in the world. And we thought that would be a good way to do Schulz. We saw his video and I guess he felt like we were asking him generic questions or like we didn't know anything about him, which I understand his point of view. And guys, I'm not claiming to be the fucking next Larry King or fucking Joe Rogan. I've never claimed to be the best podcaster. This was 8 months ago, but even till this day, still, like, this whole podcast thing, we were kind of just having fun with it, and it got really huge, and we're always trying to get better at it.
I'll end that part right there. Let me know what you guys thought about that. I really don't care that much. This was a big one for some reason. I just didn't give a shit that much, but it was funny to see Steiny have his feelings, like, really hurt by Andrew. And
Where did this take this turn? We don't even have to have the mics on, bro.
You know, I think Andrew genuinely felt bad for talking to Steiny like that and calling him fake. You know, maybe Steiny was playing a character at some point, but until he took out his phone is what really, really annoyed Andrew and nonstop bashed him throughout the whole podcast.
What I'm saying is that if you were being your truest, purest, most authentic self, I think you would have behaved differently in the podcast and you would have got a different behavior from me. I'm not out here to bully someone who feels like insecure. Like, I think that's the worst thing ever. I think that if somebody feels insecure and they're pretending to be something they're not, but I think you need to find yourself a little, man.
I'm just trying to figure out where this took this turn.
We're still talking about you.